that I went, yeah, we're going to try and correct this little mistake here.
Great. And so you actually finally got them reproduced?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, finally, like 3 years later, and after the thread on the on KLOV went kind of caustic, and I basically said, look, guys, I'll pay for the mold myself and have one $3,000 to $4,000 seat, and nobody else will get one, or you can all be quiet and let it happen when it happens. And it was crickets. It was hilarious.
Yeah, people don't realize how much it costs to get stuff done.
Well, and it was the other part of it was actually more so like they don't understand if you're doing 25 Spy Hunter seats, the companies doing these massive like vacuum molding operations really could care two shits about you. They're going to fit you in when they fit you in. If it's in 2 years, it's in 2 years.
Yep. Exactly.
Sweet. Hey, so since we're streaming, I have a suggested topic for this point. Does anybody here think Twitch was inspired by Starcade?
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, Twitch has head-to-head gaming and stuff like that, and there's a lot of. I mean, obviously, there's no. It's not a game show format, but watching people game.
I don't even know what Twitch is.
Okay, so
I think Adam has some feelings about that.
Well, so Twitch was invented as a gamer platform for people to stream on YouTube, primarily because the people that were streaming on YouTube were starting to get new rules enforced by YouTube for streaming and monetization of their channels. So Twitch came around and said, "Hey, look, we're going to make this channel. We're going to make this platform. It's going to be like YouTube, but we're going to cater to gamers, and it'll be so much cooler. And you guys should come over here." And there was a massive wave, and then literally every esports channel started following. So Live, Rocket League, Championships, Call of Duty, you name it, CSGO, anything, live streaming of games in general, like ridiculous amounts of Markiplier, like Minecrafting, just weird stuff like that. So
Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, but it's interesting you brought that up. There's a connection because Twitch, was it Shout TV or somebody, broadcast every episode of Starcade on Twitch, like nonstop for like 72 hours or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool.
They got permission to do that?
Yeah. Actually, they got the rights and they remastered all the episodes. They look great. So.
I think the neat thing about Twitch is it's just how it's become kind of this platform for being able to share for the fighting community, not just the competitions playing head to head, but people will get on there and teach how to play the games, what to do, what the strategies are, and it's become this kind of center for people to share how to play the games without just what you used to have to do when you went to the arcade and watch somebody else play over and over and over. Now on Twitch, they're broadcasting out to thousands of people and saying, here's how you play this character. Here's how you play this character. Yeah. Here's how this matchup can work.
Yeah.
See, I don't play home. I have a PS4. I have a buddy that works for Sony, so he sent me one. But the only thing I played is the VR, the Star Wars VR thing.
Is that fun?
Oh, it's awesome! Oh my, I'm a Star Wars nerd. It is the coolest thing to fly in that X-wing. You can look to the side and see your, the lasers, and you look up and the stars and oh my god, it's awesome.
I have to find out why we don't have that.
I think it's Star Wars Battlefront VR.
I think tomorrow there's another trip to Micro Center. I can't break my streak of going to Micro Center every day for the last week.
Do you go to the one that's...
You're all clear, kid.
Oops, sorry.
Do you go to the one that's just like one exit away from Excelsior?
Yeah.
All right, I know it well.
I've been there every day for the last 7 days buying components for this stupid computer.
Hey, but you got it working.
Well, now I have two computers.
Yeah.
Because it basically was a bad monitor connection.
Oh. Brian Frober in the chat says Twitch started as Justin TV. I remember that.
Didn't he also say that if you rearrange the letter, if you rearrange Justin TV, it spells Twitch?
Sure. Except for there's no N or J.
Oh.
If you rearrange the letters in funeral, it spells real fun.
Oh. I see.
That is a true story.
Should we get this
show on the road? What do you guys think?
I wanted to be buried in my reactor cabinet when I died.
Oh, you and your buddies and being buried in your cabinet. We'll talk about that later.
All right,
let's get this show on the road. Okay, what do you got? I got a little clip for you guys to hear. Here we go.
This is Starcade, TV's first video arcade game show. And here's our host, Mark Richards.
Hello, Starcaders, and welcome. We're backstage warming up for today's action, and our two players are getting ready to compete on some very exciting video arcade games. And right now, Starcaders, I'd like to have you meet today's two contestants. We have Mike McEwen right over here on my right, and Stephen Beal. And both of our two contestants have been matched up based on their game-playing ability. Right now, players, are you about ready?
Yeah!
Let's play Starcade!
Starcade! You know there's an applause card there somewhere.
Live from KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Arcade Radio.
Hello, Commander. Computer reporting.
Intruder alert, intruder alert. Beware, I live. Stimulating opponent.
Hello, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, February 7th, 2019, and the time is now approximately 7:26 p.m. Thanks for joining us in the Arcadosphere. This is your host, Adam for StevensHotel.com. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark Time Runner Shields, and ParadiseArcadeShop.com, and Head Ninja, Brian Thurston Howell III. And tonight, we introduce to our fellow arcaders, Milestar of Clov, Arcade Fixit proprietor, and Starcade contestant, Mr. Stephen Beal. Welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
Good to have you on board.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
So the first part of the show, we just talk a little bit about what we've been working on. So, Mark, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Well, first of all, this Marble Madness that I have behind me, I'm getting really close, but I have the habit of, I restore arcade games without having a PCB. And so that's super fun, but I did manage to get...
So you just have this empty cabinet with all the parts except the game.
I know, it's beautiful, but empty. You cannot play a game. You can turn it on and the monitor will glow.
That's
that
sad.
Little kind of...
That's very sad.
Kind of gray.
Like the old Brady Bunch. We don't ride the bikes, we just fix them.
Exactly. I'm not sure what that means. I'm going to look it up.
Me neither. I'm going to have to look it up too.
Yes. So
maybe it was the Canadian version of...
Right.
Yeah. Even though he's not Canadian, but I tease him all the time because he's he's got dual citizenship.
So Todd Tuckey sold me a game PCB.
Yeah.
For a pretty good deal. I mean,
really? Todd?
I mean,
good deal?
Todd.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, he wanted 400, I said 300, then we settled on 350. So I mean, it was pretty classic.
For Marble Madness?
Yes.
A working board?
Correct.
So that's half the battle, right? $350.
I know.
I paid $300 for my first Star Wars board. So what do they go for?
I know,
now?
but you've been collecting since the Dark Ages, so let's. I did get a System 1 PCB, like the main board, for $100 on eBay that Coin Op Warehouse was selling last night. Whoever I was battling against, he was only incrementing his outbidding me by $1, so that was really easy in the last 15 seconds. I enjoyed that. That was great for me. In other stuff I have, because I have so many projects, my Warlords control panel is now sealed. I I learned how to use a skill, a circular saw to cut 16 gauge steel plates. And part of that was learning that you should move your feet away from them when you're doing it, because the stuff is like flying down on you.
It can burn your feet.
I did wear safety glasses like before I started. It wasn't like, oh, I should wear them like after I had started. So that was good for me. My wife liked that. And let's see, I had a whole bunch of stuff powder coated. I got the Warlords medals, my Tubin Street Fighter Star Castle I have in the backlog. And last but not least, I got a Time Pilot. Arcadeology, a.k.a. Aaron Sanders, helped me out. And I got it. What's really funny is that there was a Space Invaders cabaret inside of the Time Pilot. They had taken it apart to where they could ship both in the same space. So when I picked it up at Fastenal, I started to freak out, going, "Oh my God, they've destroyed it!" But it turned out everything was like, you can put it all back together. So,
that's awesome.
So that was fun. It was like puzzles. That's all I'm doing. What are you doing, Adam?
Oh my gosh, I am doing so much. I feel a little bit like Casey Kasem right now. I'm not really sure why. So, Brian's been drinking enough that's funny. So, okay. One of the things I've been working on, and you guys remember, you may remember if we go back to the last episode of Arcade Radio, I was having trouble with my Robotron, right? And I was like, I got it all figured out. And I put the chip in and it's all working. And blah, blah, blah. And it closed the mother trucker up and the stupid thing would not shoot left. So first player, you can move around up, down, left, right, but you can't shoot left. It makes the game interesting. Actually, I think it might be fun to actually, block off that pin and then have a contest where you can't shoot left. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Like have a high score contest. You play Robotron, but you can't shoot left. That means you got to go in big circles and shoot everything. It'd be hilarious. Anyway, I replaced almost every goddamn chip on that I/O board. And I looked at the schematic and I knew which chip was supposed to be driving those, and I replaced that chip, and I didn't put a logic probe on it, so bad on me. So but anyway, what do you think the problem actually ended up being?
It was unplugged.
Well, you're close. It's the cable connection. Those stupid connectors. I crimped the goddamn cable and put it back on, and it worked.
Nice. Yeah, you got to start that way.
So annoying. And then my Joust, the battery died, which is not like a huge thing, but
wasn't Lon's high score on that?
Yeah. His score's been long gone. I've replaced the battery like 8 times since he was on. So I'm actually gonna go NVRAM and all that stuff from now on. I think I'm gonna walk on down to Paradise Arcade and pick up a couple of NVRAM boards.
Oh yeah, I hear they have good stuff there.
Yeah, Paradise Arcade, proprietor Brian Armitage and Susan Armitage. They do great work.
They're cool.
We actually the NV. No,
waiting for him to say something here.
Weebly.
What'd you say?
We picked those guys up. So we the thing that we like to do is we actually like to grab a bunch of stuff from a lot of people. Like we like to support a lot of the stores in the community.
Yeah.
But the NVRAM boards that we have.
The collective
from,
we.
No, it says Susan and I. I mean, more Susan than me sometimes. I've been working so much, I have barely been at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So the main project I've been working on is getting my stupid computer to work. But from an arcade project, I did sneak into the shop the other week and pulled out the Splat boards that I'd bought about 1.5 years ago and hadn't had a chance to test yet.
Splat.
And built an adapter harness
it's
for
like
my
Food
Super
Fight Light.
Okay, we're done. We're out.
Isn't it? I mean, right? Am I right?
It just.
He's gonna reach through and get
the exciting part is that the Splat board set that I bought 3 years ago for $100 from this warehouse find, where the guy actually called me back afterwards and was like, "Hey, yeah, I didn't realize what I sold you. Can I buy that back?" It's like,
no.
You sat there for a half an hour telling me how much you knew about arcade games. I had to listen to that. That's worth a couple $100. and then you told me you wanted $100 for the board set, and I said, sure, paid you. No, I'm going to keep the board set. But anyways, it fired up and worked great, which was actually a lot of fun. Awesome. Now I just need that small task of finding a cabinet, which is actually being reproduced, And since the joysticks are incredibly rare for that, because they're like the analog style joysticks, I've got a set coming in to actually copy, so I can see if I can make my own set.
Nice. Yeah, gotta love guys that make their own parts. All right, so that brings us to Steven. Steven, what have you been working on in the hobby?
Well, my project for 2019 is to go through hopefully go through all the parts I need to go through that I've had in boxes and bins for the last decade.
Oh, wow.
So,
do you need any help? Can we fly down?
Actually, I do need.
And we can maybe we can work out a deal.
What I did last week is I pulled all my NOS Williams parts. And I'm starting to go through those.
Do you have any I/O boards?
No.
Damn.
No. I just have the little trinkets.
Okay.
Like I pulled all the NOS turkey shoot parts that I have.
Oh my gosh! Sidetrack. I got a sidetrack. Did you guys see on eBay somebody was selling a full Williams test rig from the Williams, like
what?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like this was 2 weeks ago.
Going online.
Go check it out. Everybody in the chat, go check it out. I'm not lying.
Did Susan pay you off?
What?
Did Susan pay you off not to tell me about this?
No, it was like, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, but I can't afford it. So I didn't tell you guys because I don't want to be jealous of you having it. Yeah, that's the love I have. Anyway, Steven, you're telling me little parts.
But yeah, so I pulled all my, or 90% of my NOS Williams parts, which is not, it's a few bins, maybe, 5 or 6 bins, little 18 by 12 cardboard bins. So at some point, I'm going to go through those, take pictures, put them on the site. Nothing really.
What site is that again?
RcadeFixit.com.
Okay, so everybody knows now. This is Milestar, Arcade Fixit,
the infamous Milestar.
The infamous, yeah. I bought parts from you. They are not cheap, buddy. I'll tell you
that.
Not, worth it.
I spend a lot of money to acquire this.
I got to tell you though. It is a delight when you're looking for a part and you find a new old stock part. And, I'm willing to pay it in most cases. So I
do appreciate the business.
I'm glad you're. I'll be honest. I haven't bought a lot from you, but I bought like some, and they're all Sega parts, really. I bought some stuff for a hang-on and for an afterburner. And I think I tried to buy a soundtrack that was out of stock that you had to sadly turn me down on. But then there was some other stuff just like little things. I mean, not like a lot, but I'm glad you're there because you have a niche. So
yes, it's a very specialized business.
And we'll talk about. Go ahead.
I'd be more than happy to fill you guys in on how it started, or
we're going to do that. We're going to do that in a little bit. We have a couple of segments to get through. One of them is the news. I think we should move on to the news. What do you think? It's the Arcade News with Brian McLeod.
Oh, nice.
Wow, I've got my own sound bit.
I can't believe it.
Now. Well, in the news this week, which was actually in the news last week, but I was told to abbreviate the news last week, there is a new extinct shark species named for the 80s game Galaga. The people who found this, actually this was in sciencemag.org as well as a number of other places, but they felt that the teeth of the shark resembled the little Space Invaders, as they said, but the little characters in Galaga, and so they named it I got to see if I can say this name correctly. This is like hold on.
Do it.
I lost it. It's so slow.
Second line.
I know.
Meanwhile, back at the Batcave.
Galagadon nordquiste.
Yes.
So,
yes. That's I'm very familiar with that.
Kind of a fun thing. And then in further news, so Christine McConnell, who is known for her cake series on Netflix that Adam so rudely said he didn't finish watching.
Oh my gosh, I watched like 10 minutes of the episode. I was totally bored. I'm like, this is so incredibly cheesy. I cannot watch it.
She's known for making these kind of very interesting cakes. Made this very elaborate Mortal Kombat arcade cake that you should check out on Twitter for sure. And if you don't like the cake, you'll enjoy it. So the next in the news, The Small Change Arcade offers a unique solution for people who want real arcade hardware in their home. So these are no emulators or LCDs used.
What?
They're 15 kilohertz signals, small cabinets. And basically what these are a modern version of a cabaret, or now I'm forgetting the name that you gave me earlier, Adam.
A mini-mite or a mini or whatever. Right, Steven, back me up on this. Like, okay, so everybody had a different name for cabarets back in the day. So Ballet Midway called theirs mini-mites for a while. Any of the little games that came out that were the mid-sized games, not the cocktail, or people love to call it the bar top, but it's not a bar top because you can put the game on top of the bar.
This is like facial tissue ends up just being called Kleenex regardless.
Yeah, or a vacuum cleaner called Hoover or
Xerox.
Other countries. Xerox.
They're cabarets.
Okay, listen, if anybody's saying they're going to Xerox something today, you can tell how old they are. I'm just saying. Right, Steven? Back me up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
Like, if you're gonna Xerox something, you need to seriously.
Oh. So what they're doing really, what they're doing though is they're doing stenciled artwork, new cabinets, rebooting the CRTs, and using the Namco Class of '81 board, which is really a neat board. And I believe that was done by somebody in the arcade community, but I won't mention who because I don't know for sure. But that's on smallchangearcade.com, and you should check those out. Other one, we've tried to add in one arcade product a week, and for those of you looking for interesting bar stools or stools for your cabinets, looks like
now
One
I'm
Up
pissed.
Arcade. Why are you pissed?
Because I was at MGC almost a year ago. I ordered Atari stools, brand new, from this company that's making the Pong machines, and they didn't ship them to me. But Steve, good old Steve Murky down in Mankato, if you're listening, you big jerk, you got your game and your stools. I didn't get.
That's because you ordered a full game instead of just going cheap on the stools.
I paid like $250. Somebody owes me some freaking stools. I'm telling you. Anyway,
well, anyways, One Up Arcade.
I'm not mad anymore. I'm actually just completely calm.
New set of bar stools coming out to go with their One Up Arcades that help you sit at the perfect height for these arcade games that they've produced. Their first ones will be out this fall. They are releasing a Street Fighter 2 arcade stool, bar stool. And that's it for the news.
He said stool.
Come here and pushing my stool.
Oh, my God.
Back in 82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Welcome to the Back to the Cave segment. Yes.
Why do you sound so slinky?
I don't
Welcome
know.
to the Back to the Cave segment.
Hey, this is Mark Richards, Mark Shields. At the box office on February 2nd, 1985. I stand corrected. The Nintendo Versus version of Excitebike officially released in North America.
Okay, that's kind of cool. That
is kind of cool, yeah. 34 years ago. Before this, they couldn't play it, and now they could. It's so awesome, right? Excitebike. It's a motocross game. Pretty awesome. Check it out.
We will.
All right, and at the box office on February 7th, 1985, I didn't even put this in the show notes. There was a bunch of crappy movies out.
Oh, good. What were they?
Starman, I would say that was the one that everybody really was going for, but personally, I was there for Heavenly Bodies.
Oh, come on. Starman? Yeah. John Carpenter's Starman?
Yes, it's a great movie. Oh, it's great. The guy's talking like he's a robot and hooking up with the girl from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Come on.
Hang on a second. Steven.
Yeah.
Steven.
What?
Did you see Starman?
No, I did not.
Have you ever seen Starman?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Oh,
if I did see it, it must have not gave me a good impression because I don't remember it.
Here's the thing. It's the dude. The dude is in Starman.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges plays this. It's Jeff Bridges because I get confused because they had a TV show called Starman and it had the guy from Airplane on it, and it was not as good. So yeah, the dude and the girl from Raiders of the Lost Ark hook up, and then it's awesome. Okay, but really, I was watching Heavenly Bodies, which was rated R. I don't think I actually bought the ticket.
I was not old enough for that. I
may have snuck into that one at the Jersey Village Cinema 6.
In 1985, I was 13 years old.
I was 15, and so I just learned how to drive. It was awesome. And the best thing
Meanwhile,
on
we've
TV,
lost Brian. Brian has gone into a coma.
Poor Brian. It's okay.
In a coma.
You look like you're in a coma.
Back in February 1985, they were airing on ABC a TV movie that they made called The Bad Seed.
Oh yeah, The Bad Seed.
Yeah, it was about this guy who trades his old milking cow for some seeds.
Wait a minute. This is a Disney movie.
Wait, yeah, you're right. Okay, not that one, not that one. Yeah, this is a remake of the black and white 1956 movie, which was based on the play, and the story's about a young girl. She does evil things. She murders people, but that's not really important because this remake was terrible. It was the worst ever.
Oh, shit.
And somehow, in 2018, they let Rob Lowe, no less, direct another version of it. I heard that one sucked too. God. Let's not talk about this anymore.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
All right. Man, I've got a whole Mark Richards set of questions to give to Steven when we get to that. But for right now, I want to know, hey, what's in the juke?
Hello and welcome to What's in the Juke.
Wait.
What? Is it done? All right.
Mark, why don't you tell us what happens in this segment? Because I'm not really sure.
Well, it's a segment where we'll play some songs back in the day. We'll play just a couple seconds of the song and not really tell you what it is. And our chatters online need to guess both the artist and the title of the song. We'll keep track of what we see in our chat, the live feed that comes off of YouTube. If you type something for something, somebody says something else. That may be something that happens in your... Okay, let's go.
I'm dying here. Like, I want you to do this show every time in that
All
voice.
right, Mark Richards ready to go. Mark Shields ready.
Mark Richards, wait. Is that what you're doing? You're doing my...
I'm doing my Mark Richards impression because if you play your thing, and again, I'm not sure if he talked like this the whole time, but just pay close attention because he's very amped up. I don't think cocaine was involved.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what we're making up because we don't have a voicemail for you. All right, all right.
Okay, here we go. First clip. Wait. Is that good?
That's good.
Chatters, the game has begun. Let's see what you think. Survivor. Randy pulls in half a point. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I see the half point there. Yeah. Oh.
What?
High on You. I think Randy got both those.
He did. Casey's not in the chat yet, so somebody's got a chance.
All right. Well, that's a full point for Mr. Randall Gelking, and I think that deserves a full point. Yeah, that was pretty dang good. That's Survivor and High on You, right? Should we play a little more of that? Such a good track. Such a good track. I'm very happy with the selections tonight. Okay, here comes with the next clip. Here we go. All right, here we go.
That was beautiful. Yeah, I texted Casey. He's driving back from Chuck E. Cheese right now. Doesn't think he's going to be playing the show. And I'm being serious. He actually said this.
He's driving back from Chuck E. Cheese. Are you kidding me? Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah, he's driving back by himself as a single man. No. I think he brought his kids. I don't think.
Oh, shit. I mean, dang. and stuff.
They're like, sorry, sir, you can't come in here by yourself.
You guys, we got to get some points out here.
Please don't wear shorty shorts.
Someone like guessed Peter Cetera. I think that happens every episode. Someone just like Peter Cetera. No, it's not Peter Cetera. Okay,
that was the last one.
Andy Baldwin says, "Yeah, nailed down that copyright strike." Okay, Randy gets it again with Foreigner, and then Andy gets I Want to Know What Love Is. So they both get
half point.
Am I right?
That's right.
Okay.
Half point.
Yeah, for both of those guys. I think that's pretty good. I Want to Know What Love Is by a Foreigner. And this
Foreigner, yeah. Apparently these days they wouldn't get past the wall. Oh, what a bad joke. I'm sorry.
What is happening here? I'm not really sure. Okay, so the funny thing is because this next song we've had on a few times, so I'm gonna play the clip. Here we go. All right, Easy Lover. Somebody guessed Genesis. That is incorrect. Easy Lover, the first Easy Lover, we're going to give it to Andy Baldwin for half point because he was the first one in the chat. Am I correct?
That's right.
Right? And it is Phil Collins and some other dude. Randy, you are correct. I think you're absolutely correct. And here we're going to give you a half point to Mr. Andy Baldwin and Mr. Randall Gelking.
Half point.
Good job, guys. That other guy is Philip Bailey. It's actually on his album, and Phil fills in, if you know what I mean. And I think you do.
I get it. That's a drum joke. Yeah.
That's a little rim shot right there. Ba-doom, boom.
Oh.
I think I even have a rim shot, sound effect.
Let's just wait 2 minutes and Adam find his rim shot. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh
my gosh.
For an hour.
Let's just wait 2 minutes and Adam will find his rim shot.
Yeah, you can do it whenever you feel like it.
This is the throw up episode.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah. We got RW Speedwagon. I don't think we can count that. I mean, that's a typo, but come on, right?
That's close.
We should give it to S1500.
W is next to E.
I think he got the full point.
I think, what? Who got the full point?
He came in with, I can't fight this feeling.
Yeah, but Andy gets the song, but I think S1500 gets the name. RWO is not it. You got to type the E on that shit.
The W is right next to the E.
Next to the E. If he picked a letter that was like far away, I would say.
So we're going to give it to Andy, the whole point? Is that what I'm hearing?
Let's tell you what. Let's split that point. Andy's going to get...
High stakes here. High stakes.
I think this is a tight game. We got to give a half point to Ryan. He just, S1500 out of nowhere, decides he's going to answer, and he gets it right. Right?
Right.
Am I right? I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean.
He's on the board.
Okay, good. All right. So
he's on the board. Let's go.
Okay, this next track, dudes, this is a Minneapolis track right here.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean,
or a Jane Silent Bob track, depends on what era you were born. So,
well,
let's
have a listen.
No matter
what, this song is from Minneapolis, and here it goes.
That's right.
Is that too much? Oh.
I'm watching you on the actual live stream. I'm freaking out how much you move.
I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out, dude. Dude, Jungle Love. Brian Frober?
Yeah, Brian Frober got the
song. And Randy gets the other half point for the band. Am I right? Randy, you're doing awesome tonight.
You're blazing through. You're a 2.5.
You're killing. I love it.
Now, an interesting side note on Moore's Day in the Time is one of his drummers, I think his name is Kurt Biscara. He grew up in Santa Maria, California, where I grew up, and Kurt was a friend of my brother. So,
really,
he was Moore's Day's drummer for quite a long time. I don't know if he still is or not, but
that's interesting. I saw. Well, anyway, the side note. Morris Day also had Jamie Jam and Terry Lewis on his team, and they produced Janet Jackson on Control and Rhythm Nation. So we're famous, I think, Steven.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're famous, right, guys?
Yeah, whatever you say, Adam.
I'm in.
This is the 12-inch remix. Should I play the normal one, or should I let this go?
I'm pretty sure they're going to get this one.
Oh, Randy got it. Half point.
The title.
All right. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. That's a split point. Dudes, good job.
Half point.
For both of you. That was awesome.
That's totally beautiful.
That's a 12-inch remix, buddies.
This is the way to do it.
Quite possibly one of the best songs ever made in the 80s. I have to say.
It reminds me of high school. So I'm telling you, I have all these memories now in my head about high school and the dances and stuff.
So
that's the point of this.
Was that sort of an anthem for you? That's 1985. So, dude,
I graduated in '86. So.
Right on, man. I love that song. I love that album. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Such a good album. Anyway, the next song, I don't even know if we need to play. We'll play like two tiny little
like a middle.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that's it. We're not playing any more of that song. That's it. Greaseball.
Hello, ladies. Greaseball's here.
Greaseballs in the
pretend
chat.
to pay attention to it.
I love it. Yeah, this show gets better and better every minute of the day. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. All right, Bruce Springsteen is correct. Born in the USA. You know what? I'm going to have to give Randy the boss because he said the boss. Yeah, what do you guys think? Going to vote on this?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. The boss and Born in the USA, so half a point to Andy Baldwin, a half point to Randy Gilking. What do you guys think?
All right.
Here we go. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
Half point.
That's what I'm saying. Half point for both you guys. We're almost the end of the game. You know, we only have a couple.
Oh man, only 2 songs left.
Only 2 songs left.
Yeah.
This next song is my second favorite song by this band. I almost said the name of the band. I almost did it. Okay, here we go.
Wait. Son of a bitch!
They sort of gave away the name of the song right away, didn't they?
Now it's just a matter of somebody typing it in.
Duran Duran, Brian Frober, Wild Boys gets both. Whoa! I saw a full point there. That's
all right.
Heavens to Betsy. Brian pulls out a full point. I mean,
sorry, Greaseball, that was not Wham.
It was not Wham. Not even close to Wham.
Relford returns from his sojourn from Chuck E. Cheese.
Casey Relford. Oh yeah, you're a little late, Casey. There's no dude. There's no way you're winning tonight, even with Dolly's help. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, here we go. This is the last track, and here it is. I'm just kidding. That's not it. It's this one.
Oh my God.
Oh, I was just kidding about that. Seriously.
Damn it.
Why do they give away the name of the song, right? That's just dumb. Like, okay, let me just play that clip again. What? Seriously? You can't do that.
Really?
It's not fair. All right?
Not good at this.
Phil Collins, Randy, and Andy. Randy and Andy pull it out. Holy crap, this was a close match. Half point for Mr. Randy Gelking.
Half point.
And a half point for Mr. Andy Baldwin. All right.
That's right.
Tell me, Mark, where are we at?
Randy, well, let's just start off. S1500, he had a half point. It was an honorable fourth place finish. We were totally okay with what he did. And then our other players, Andy Baldwin and Brian Fober, tied at 2 points each.
2
which
points
is great.
Each.
Even though that was probably 4 different things that they got. Very, very nice. When you bunched up those half points. And finally, our actual winner is Randy with 4 full points.
Oh, that is...
Welcome to the top again, Randy. It's nice
Randy.
to have you back.
Oh, my gosh. Randy, we've missed you. We should play him a special song.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
All right, here we go.
Uh-oh.
I don't have a special song for him. I have a new song that I composed, but we can play that at the end for him.
You have plenty of REO. You can just play some REO.
Yeah, play it.
We want to play some REO? Oh, okay. here we go.
Rio. I love it.
Rio. Okay. Randy, this one's for you. We're so getting banned.
Good job, Randy.
Randy, I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Randy, don't take your shirt off, okay?
We should all sing this.
I
can't fight this feeling anymore. A longer. Yeah, see, I don't even know the lyrics. So.
Ah, you did so good.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's time that we introduce our guest. What do you think? It's 8 o'clock.
Right.
We're right on the dot. I think... Whoa, what's going on here? What's going on? Holy sh... That was loud. Please, welcome to the show one more time, Mr. Stephen Beal. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Howdy, howdy.
Now you know what kind of craziness goes on in this show.
Yeah. I'm about ready to leave. I can't take this.
Oh, he can't take this anymore.
I can't take this feeling anymore.
Is that a different REO song that I don't know about? Because, I mean, it's sad. All right. So we're going to kick off right away asking you about your arcade origins. What were the circumstances when you first became hooked on arcade games?
Oh, geez. My first memory is my dad taking me to the arcade. It was either a miniature golf place or the arcade in town. We had a gold mine where I grew up. We had a gold mine arcade.
Tell us a little bit about gold mine.
Well, gold mine. Well, if you want the corporate info or just the, I love business. So,
well,
gold mine was owned by Nickels and Dimes Corporation, based out of Dallas, Texas.
We love this, right? Chatters, tell us what you want. But I think the if you have like background information on any arcade, we're very interested.
I've got dirt on everything.
All right. Okay, so tell us again your arcade origins, the circumstances which you first became hooked on arcade games, and don't hold back. If it's the gold mine, tell us.
Actually, you know what?
Go ahead.
I just remembered. Yeah. It was a skating rink. Okay, back in like elementary school, they would like one night a month they had skating night where you would go to the local skate rink. And I remember my dad took me there and there was a couple of pinball machines. And I asked him, I go, "What's that, Dad?" And I was probably 7 or 8 maybe. And this is when pinballs were like a dime. Right? They were just going from dime to a quarter per play. And I remember he put whatever denomination in and he pushed that button and all the lights and the bells. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. But I was sort of scared of it because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I guess that's when I could say I got hooked.
That's great. Well, first of all, thanks again for being on the show. What was okay, before we get into the next couple of questions, I want to invite the chatters. We have 14 people live right now watching. Feel free to put your questions in the chat. We'll read them off as we go through this. But keep in mind, Steven was not just a guest on Starcade, but he is a proprietor of Arcade Fixit and also of a business called Blast in the Past, which we'll get into in a little bit. But anyway, moving on. Brian, why don't you take the next question?
Well, yeah, I mean, Steven, you and I both have businesses, but yours kind of far predates mine and has some amazing stuff. How did you get into doing Arcade Fixit? And if I remember correctly, it was a different name originally, correct?
Correct, yeah. Well, Arcade Fixit, I got that domain probably back in like 2004, 2005. And I was originally, what I wanted to do was I got that because I wanted to have like a site with like manuals and tech tips and stuff like that. So I had that domain parked. So my original business name was videogameparts.com. But I would always get a lot of these emails from people saying, hey, do you sell controllers for, Sony or Atari 2600? Because it was just video game parts, not arcade game parts, because that domain was taken already. So I had video game parts for probably a couple of years. And then my wife at the time, or my fiance, she says, you need a brand, something to differentiate you, because I was just going by my industry name was Amusement Parts and Supply for the coin-op industry. And that was very generic. So I go, well, I had this domain Arcade Fixit, and, maybe I'll just use that. So that's how it happened. I just wanted to have like a more recognized brand name per se.
Nice.
And Arcade Fixit has been around since 2000. I think 2006 is when I started the site. 2006 was videogameparts.com, and then it transitioned to Arcade Fixit probably like 2008, somewhere around there.
And just for the listeners, because I mean, I love your site. I mean, it really, if you guys need parts that are like hard to find NOS parts, Steve has an amazing collection of parts. But give us, like, how did you get into doing? I mean, you have this incredible like diversity of parts. I mean, I go on there and I find stuff that I didn't even know that I needed. And then I start looking at my cabinets. I'm like, yeah, that's not looking so good in my cabinet. I didn't even realize I could still buy that. So where did this come from? How did you get the idea of doing this? And my hat's off to you, because like we sell like a button and we sell like, lots of buttons that are the same. You have all of these different parts in limited supply. So it's not like there's this endless stream. It's amazing.
Correct. Yes. Well, first off, what you see on my site is just a drop in the bucket. I literally have tens of thousands of parts that are not listed, just because I'm a one-man operation, and it takes a lot of time to take pictures and list everything. But what I tell people is if there's a part you're looking for, and if you know the part number, because all my parts are by part number. I have hard copies from pretty much all the bulk buys I've done. So if you have a part number, I can look that up and tell you yes or no if I have it or not. And how it all started was I've been active in the coin-op industry since high school. That's when I bought my first games back in like 84, 85 and put them in stores. So I used to be an operator, and then that progressed into Blast from the Past, which was a restoration company, which then progressed into the parts. And how that happened was there was a distributor named C.A. Robinson here in California. They had a location in Los Angeles and one up in San Francisco. Well, they were shutting down their San Francisco branch, and my salesman at the LA branch said, hey, we're shutting things down, go check it out, see if there's anything you want. So I go up there. I was looking for games. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm walking through the warehouse, and there's a couple of big boxes and it said Atari, and one said Bally. And the manager there, I go, what's in these boxes? He goes, oh, those are, old parts that we're just getting rid of or, trying to sell. And I go, well, how much you want for them? He goes, I don't know, make me an offer. So I made him an offer. He talked to the head honcho in LA, Ira Badelman, which is, that's a whole nother avenue we can go down as far as that part of the coin op industry. Anyhow, they rejected my first offer, so I countered with another offer. They said yes. Got it home. I had these 2 big boxes of all these NOS, Atari, and Bally parts.
Wow.
And
what did you think at that point? Like, just as a person, like you're thinking, oh my God, I have like legit Atari parts now.
Well, see, back then, my personal collection at that point, this would be around 2002. I mean, I had like 100 games. So I would just, this was after Blast from the Past. So I didn't.
And to be clear, let's just give a timeline for the listeners, right? 2003 is when Blast from the Past ended.
About 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and that was a restoration business with you and your buddy.
Yeah, Damon Clausen.
Damon Clausen, who was also on
Starcade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So basically, from let's just say from 1986 to 2000, maybe 2004, I operated. From 1998 to 2002, we had Blast from the Past. And then from 2000, let's say 2003 to 2006, I had parts, but I wasn't actively selling them. And then 2006 is when I officially got into the parts business. So basically, I was keeping all these parts for myself. And then, of course, back in the day, you would get on RGVAC, the news groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, hey, I got this NOS, this and this, $5, $6, whatever. And then I would start, I just, got online and I would look for other parts. And so I found, I can talk about it now because they don't have any more parts, but Brady Distributing back in Charlottesville, they had just opened an online store and they had all these old parts. So I would do my orders and they would send them to me. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then so one day, the head parts guy called me. He said, hey, look, we have all these parts we're getting rid of. Let me send you a list. So they sent me a list, and it was, oh, my God. I mean, thousands of parts. And they said, we want to get rid of them all. And I said, okay, well, how much? And they said, make an offer. So I made them an offer, quite a substantial amount of money. And they accepted it, and it was... oh man, I think there was about 5 pallets worth of parts. And they delivered them from free because they were doing the show in Las Vegas, the AMOA show, because at that time Brady was getting into developing their own games. So they had a booth and they said, well, we'll stick them on the truck and we'll deliver them to you for free. So that saved me, that was even better. It saved me, $1,000. So then I bought a few more other distributors out. And then since I've been active in the coin op industry since the mid 80s, especially in California, I started to become, well known for buying obsolete parts. So then, Betson would contact me, and then the Playmeter magazine, they came out and did a story about Damon and I for Blast from the Past, which got me more exposure in the industry side. So then people would contact me saying, hey, I have all these parts, you want to buy. And then Sega got a hold of me since they were
they're like, we want to dump our stuff on you.
Pretty much, yeah. And I said, sure.
That is messed up. That is messed up. And then I need a freaking spring for my freaking trigger on my little yoke for my Sega Afterburner, and you have it.
Correct. Yeah. Sega, when they were transitioning from ceasing their USA arcade division per se, they're still around under Play Amusements,
sure,
just for support and parts, but for newer stuff. Anyhow, I ended up buying, I think over everything was probably about 25 pallets and about 9 tons of parts.
Did you know at the time that you were? I mean, you had to understand the implications of what you were doing at the time.
Yeah, when I was buying Sega parts, I mean, I was already established as Arcade Fixit and I had a 3,000 square foot warehouse back in California, so the storage wasn't an issue.
What year is this?
This would have been about 2010, 2011.
Interesting, because I got in collecting in 05. Well, I really 02. And 05 was when I signed on to Clove. And then when I needed my first parts would have been 2011. Like right around that time, 2011, 2012.
Originally with Sega, what had happened is I bought all their Afterburner parts, their Outrun parts, G-Lock, and a couple other games.
And G-Lock that's the full 360 one, right? Is it? Am I right about that?
That was one game you could play in R360. Okay. Another one, I think Wing War, they adapted to R360.
Yeah.
But a good friend of mine,
Steven, tell us a little bit. You know R360 pretty well. Tell the audience what R360 is.
R360 was this basically a big sphere. I mean, humongous sphere that you would sit in, and it would rotate 360 degrees depending on which way you move the joystick.
Think the environmental cabinet of Afterburner, right? So that would go rock back and forth and forward, backward. It was really cool. But this thing was beyond that, right?
Yes, it would completely flip upside down.
Oh man!
These back when they were released, they were about I think about $100,000 or $150,000.
Wow!
And I know Michael Jackson bought one. Disneyland had one. A good friend of mine back in California has 3 of them.
Wasn't there only like 4 games that ever ran on it though?
Yeah, I think it was Afterburner, G-Lock, and Wing War, and maybe one more.
Okay,
I'm not sure on that.
Really cool. Look it up, you guys. It's a rare game. If anybody ever gets a chance to play one, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is a great game, but when it flips you upside down, it's like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, if you get motion sickness, it's not a game for
When
you.
you're 18, that's probably fun. When you're 46 or 50, not so much fun.
No.
I can imagine the game is 100,000. The insurance policy is about 50.
Yeah,
right. Oh my God.
Everybody signed a waiver on that.
Did you have you kind of have a question mark that is along these lines, right?
Right, and this was sort of somebody asked this through Twitter, and I'm not positive if this is some of the things that you've covered, but they were asking about your C.A. Robinson buyout.
Yeah, that was C. Robinson was again a game distributor in L.A. I think they started up about 1937.
Wow.
And they ceased operations in 2010. So when I operated, I bought some brand new games from them, but they would always have what we call the industry show. So the big ones would be in Vegas, where twice a year when the manufacturers would release all the new games. So C. Robinson, for the local people, they would have a show at their distributor at the showroom. So I would go to those because it was only 2.5 hour drives. And so I knew all the people there. And once I got into the parts business, I would always ask Dan, who was the main parts guy at the parts counter. It's like, hey, when you want to get rid of your old parts, let me know and I'll buy them all. No questions asked. And I would do that for a couple of years, and he would say, oh, yeah. So then one day I go in, and he had boxed up all his Outrun parts. He goes, well, I got all these Outrun parts. This is how much I want for them. I think it was like $300. It was like a box full. I go, okay, fine. It was a little bit higher than I usually pay, but to establish, that I'm serious.
Yes.
Yeah. So I bought them. So that happened a couple more times. And then when they decided to shut their doors, I was the first person he called and gave me first shot at their entire video game parts.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I went down there the next day, and no lie, in 2 minutes, I looked around. I said, how much do you want? He said X number of dollars, and I countered just a little bit lower. He said, done deal. We shook hands, and that was it.
Wow.
Started loading up the truck.
That's
and it took me, I had to do 3 or 4 trips.
Oh, my God.
But they had stuff I have stuff from them from the 60s all the way up to the mid 2000s.
Wow.
And they had a lot of rare stuff. I got a set of blaster grips from them, or 2 sets, which have long been sold.
Sure.
But
I have a question related to that. Okay, so you have all these parts, right? Really cool parts, NOS parts, a lot of which you sold off as NOS parts. new old stock, so that's great, right? Whoever got them, super happy they got this thing, and it's the thing they were looking for their arcade game. Do you have any regrets about like letting them go before you reproduced them?
No.
Okay.
And then one of the two questions from the chat actually. What was the coolest, rarest part that you've ever come across? Is one of the questions, and then the other question was, has this business made you wealthy? I think there's actually a perception that a lot of the guys that own stores are like rolling in it because of the stores, which I think is a common misperception of most of us do this because we love it, not necessarily because it makes us a lot of money. But
I've been fully self-employed since 1997, and self-employed because of coin-operated video games in some aspect. I've been fully self-employed by parts since 2006.
Wow.
And fully supported by selling parts, and selling. I'll do deals where I sell games, or I'll make somebody a multicade, or I'll sell one of my private collection games.
That's like 22 parts is a 22-year business for you.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say, I'm the only one, pretty much the only guy that has this kind of stuff, and it's a very niche market. But back to the rarest one, from C.A. Robinson, I got these. Okay, back in I think the mid '80s, Williams made these like tabletop. They're not pinball machines, and they're not quite pachinko machines. They're like a little mix between. And it was a tabletop thing where you would shoot the ball and it would go up, and it would have these different overlays on it. One was like a soccer, one was baseball, one was like poker. So what I do, and it only came out in prototype form. Well, I actually have like 3 sets of each of the 4 overlays that would go onto the playfield. So that would be like my rarest item that I've ever found.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Wow.
So
but as far as being rich, I'm not a millionaire, but
yeah,
bills.
At least it's paying the bills, right? That's cool. And Brian, did you say there's another question in the chat, or does that kind of round it up?
Yeah, I think that rounds it out. I mean, there is another question, but we're gonna skip it because we like to keep things positive, and it's a little bit of a controversial question about other things in the community, not stuff to do with your store.
Okay, so moving on to I want to kind of get into the Starcade a little bit. I'm going to play a clip here, and we'll there we go.
Your opponent, and this is Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hi, I'm a freshman in high school, and my hobbies are collecting turtles and playing video games.
I understand you brought a little pet turtle with us today.
This is my good luck turtle, and his name's George.
Is he going to bring you lots of luck?
I hope so.
You going to do that, George? He says yes. Okay. We wish you luck, and Mike, you luck. If you like to shake hands, take your places at the podiums. And let's get ready to play Starcade. And right now, here's Kevin to tell us about the 5 games on today's program.
Just 5 games.
Game number 1 today, Super Pac-Man. The mild-mannered Pac-Man turns super-sized. Game 2, Donkey Kong Jr. Son rescues Papa from Mean Mario. Game 3, Ms. Pac-Man. A petite munch around the maze. Game number 4 today, Donkey Kong. Papa rescues Son from the Mean Kong. And Game 5 today, Pac-Man. The great one is back. And Mark, it looks like today we've got a Pac-Man and Donkey Kong show.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, Steven, can you tell me, how did George die?
Well, after I messed up on Donkey Kong, I stepped on him.
Oh, this is the saddest episode of Arcade Radio ever.
Is that true?
Wah, wah, wah.
No.
Oh, that's
terrible.
That is terrible. Oh. Yeah, that's terrible.
If you guys want, I can take you through what I remember about the whole process of becoming a contestant on Starcade.
Okay, yeah. So, interesting thing. I read a little bit about this. You apparently sent in a postcard. Tell us about the postcard.
How did you notice in the postcard?
Yeah, how did you notice in the postcard?
Of course, Starcade was made in San Francisco. So in California, it was on every weekend. I know in other parts of the country, some people had difficulty seeing it. So I watched it every, I think, Saturday when it came on, or whatever day it came on.
Sure.
And of course, at the end of the show, it said if you wanted to be a contestant, send your name and address, phone number to this address. So,
yeah.
Of course, being the 14-year-old.
Now, this is interesting, though, because literally your episode is number 7. So you must have been watching it right from the beginning.
Oh, of course. Oh, my God. Video games back in that day were my life.
Yeah.
I spent every waking hour in the arcade, every weekend, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, from when they opened to when they closed. That's all I did, was play games.
Which games were those games that you liked the best?
Well, my favorite back in the day was probably Bubbles.
Bubbles, all right.
Oh, very nice.
I always liked all the oddball, obscure games.
That's a super fun game, though. Super fun.
It's a great game. Yes.
Challenging.
I've had a few over the years, and I've always sold them off, which I
I
do regret selling those.
Mm-hmm.
But
so they taped that show. It was number 7 for them, but it was actually aired number 14. And you were 14 years old when you actually did the show.
Correct. I was a freshman in high school. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell us about so you send in the postcard. They send you a letter. Did you get a form letter, or what happened?
That part I don't remember. I know Damon, his mom kept a scrapbook of every little, which is really cool. Which my parents didn't do that type of thing.
By the way, we talked to Damon Clausen. Damon Clausen and you started a business. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Damon Clausen reached out to us and sent me a video so I could have more fodder for this interview. And he was very fun. Like, you guys are good buds, right?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Yeah, and he calls you Tink.
Yeah. Well, that's my nickname that my dad's always called me, is Tink or Tinker.
Yeah.
Which used to be Stinker, because when I was a little baby, I crap my pants, it would stink. So Stinker turned to Tinker, which shortened to Tink. Now, Damon's parents called him Bunky.
Bunky. Oh, good. We'll remember that,
yeah,
because we're going to have Damon
Bunky
on the show, and you should come back. You should come back on the show when Damon's on, and we'll make a little reunion show. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So what I remember is, if you got accepted or to the tryouts, what you would do, you would go to San Francisco. Basically, they rented like a conference room in a hotel or something, and there was probably 30 kids, and even adults were in the room, and they would ask you trivia questions, and I think they had a camera there so they could see how you looked on camera.
Wow.
And the one thing I remember was one of the people that worked there asked a question, who is Nolan Bushnell? And I looked around and nobody raised their hand. And so I went like this, and I told him who he was, who was the founder of Atari. And I guess that made an impression on him, because I made it to the next level.
That's great.
Which was, you would go down to the studio and start playing the games. You played each game. So like on Starcade, when it first starts, you see the wide shot of the game room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually a working arcade back in the day. So
that's
where you
very
went.
Cool, very cool. And like,
what
awesome. Do you remember what game you were playing? Like, fake playing, because they had you. Like,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, like what? I was looking at it. Here, go ahead. You keep on with your story. I'm gonna look it up.
Well, so basically, what they do is they make you play every game, and you write down your score, so that way they can match you up with your playability with other people that are either as good as you or. Now, stupid me. Of course, I wanted to get the highest scores I possibly could, which, in hindsight, you want to do bad. So they pair you up with somebody equally as bad, but when you actually go to the show to do the taping, you kick their ass. But at 14-year-old, you don't think about that.
Sure.
So that's what they do, is they put you in a big room, they play all the games, and then I think the next day was when they do the taping. So they tape like 8 shows a day. So they put you in the green room, they call you out with whoever you play with, and the scene where Mark talks and they show us playing the games, they tell you, okay, when Mark says this word, you turn around and clap. Well, we were playing the game, and we didn't turn around when that word was said. And Mark, he's like, stopped taping, and he was so pissed off. And he said, when I say this word, you guys turn around and start clapping. Yeah, and it's like, okay.
That guy was off. I'm just going to say something. Mark was off. Not you, Mark. The other Mark.
Yeah, and I have a Mark question. Did he keep this high-pitched, weird voice when he was yelling at you and demeaning you when you didn't turn around?
That I don't remember.
Okay, so the games that you were playing, and it's funny you mentioned this, Stephen, because if you watch the first few minutes of the show, and I highly recommend it, it is there is a archive out there. You can find it. Somebody's mislabeled the episodes in the archive. Season 3, something. But this is actually episode 14 of his first season. Mark Richards was the host. You are playing Rescue.
Oh, okay.
Right next to a wacko. And your opponent is playing Burger Time, which the screen isn't even on.
Well, yeah, I think they did that because of obviously the sound issue.
Sure.
If the game's playing when Mark's talking.
Sure.
But so you turn around, you start clapping, and then you run down the little hallway and then into the studio. And that's when you find out what game. You don't know what games you're going to play until you're actually in the studio.
Oh, okay.
I saw my games. I was like, oh, fuck. It's like, what? It's like, talk about the most boringest game. I mean,
right. You're like,
it was exciting. Don't get me wrong. I was very grateful and excited to be there. But
this was filmed in '83. These games came out in '80 and '81, right? Like they're already 2 years, 3 years old. You're like, this is
well. I
dumb.
think it was because of the variety. Like the normal variety of the 5 games is a mishmash. But for my show, it was the Pac-Man series and the Donkey Kong.
There was a theme, right? So 2 DK games. So you had Namco versus Nintendo, basically. So Super Pac-Man, Donkey Kong Jr., Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Pac-Man. Tell us your biggest pain point of those games. Which was...
Well, anybody that knows me or has seen the episode, it's the Donkey Kong.
Okay.
That damn dirty ape.
Damn dirty ape. I should have a clip. I should have that clip on every show. That's awesome. All right.
It was. Well, I mean, now that I'm older, it's kind of embarrassing.
Sure.
But back when you're 14, it's like, son of a bitch. It's very, very. Because your ultimate goal was to win that arcade game. But see, by then I already had a couple of my own arcade games by that time. So to me, winning a brand new game in the box was a big deal. But to have an arcade game, at least for me, it was still a big deal, but not as big as a deal if nobody has had one before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also they changed, the original game that was supposed to be given away in our show was, I think, Qbert. And then they right before taping, they swapped it out to a Popeye.
Wow. Well, because it wasn't a Nintendo or an Namco, so they had to change it.
Well, yeah, I'm not quite sure why they did that, but
I bet Namco or Nintendo had something to do with what was going to be on TV. Hey, I don't know, maybe
it could be, but get this. Now, when Damon and I had Blast from the Past, Damon always kept in touch with Jim and I forgot her name, but the producers of Starcade and the people that created it.
Sure.
And so their favorite game was Gyrus, so we actually restored a Gyrus and took it up to San Francisco and gave it to them as a gift. And so when we were at their house, we were talking to them, and I told them about how my game was switched from Qbert to Popeye, and I was sort of disappointed because I wanted a Qbert. And Jim said, he goes, if any contestant didn't like the grand prize that was on their show, they could ask for whatever other game they wanted, and they would send it to them.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds made up.
No. See, back then, video games were the thing. So they wanted to make everybody happy. So the manufacturers, they didn't care. They wanted the exposure.
Okay, so I got to tell you, I watched the whole episode a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that I loved about it, and you got to tell me, you actually won prizes, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You won a BMX bike, am I right?
A red line.
It's pretty freaking cool.
Back in the early 80s, Redline was the motocross bike to have.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like there were the early prizes, despite Mark Richards, and God bless him.
Yeah,
he's probably a really good person, but not the best host of the show. And clearly, when you watch the show, he's almost like a lech a lot of the time. He says things to people that he should just not say. And like,
I like your pretty blonde hair.
Yeah,
It's really curly.
Could you tell us about the turtle? And he's talking to your turtle. Like, you really talk to the turtle. And like, he fakes that he doesn't know what a maze is. Excuse me. You're playing Pac-Man. You grew up in like the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
You know what a maze is. The dialogue is just silly.
Yeah, well, about the turtle, of course, it's a show, so they want it to be exciting for the audience, the watching audience. So they tell you to bring something like that. I don't collect my dad's the one that collected turtles. So when I needed to bring something, I just grabbed this turtle and said it was my good luck turtle. And they make you clap. They say when you run to the stage or whatever, or through the hallway, you have to run and clap. Act always excited, always, which wasn't hard to do because it was Starcade and it was the coolest thing ever. So for production, that's what they make you do.
So George was not your lucky turtle, is what you're saying?
No, unfortunately.
That's really sad. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
But there were other prizes too. I don't remember if you won any other. Did you win any other prizes besides being my
I won the bike, and I'd have to watch the episode.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but I remember
they gave away a lot of Mr. Discs, portable record players.
Yeah, I don't think I got one of those.
Yeah,
but I remember when I got the bike. Redline sent me the bike, and they sent me a letter. Congratulations letter. But when I put the bike together, they sent the wrong size fork, so I had to call them, and they sent me the right fork.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the front fork.
But that's pretty cool. Like, you're like, I won this bike. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I used it on my paper route. I used to have a paper route at that time. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How much did you make on your paper route, by the way?
Oh, back then a subscription was like $3.25 a month. So I was probably making $20 a month after.
Wow.
Which all went to buy either to play arcade games or to buy. Back then I had a ColecoVision, so I would buy.
I love ColecoVision. Oh my god! Favorite game on ColecoVisions? Go like top 5. Just try to think of the top 5.
Well, Tarzan, of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Donkey Kong was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Donkey Kong Jr. was good.
Donkey Kong Jr. was very good.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the other one? Ladybug?
Ladybug, yeah.
Okay.
Adventure was good. I had all of them. Cosmic Adventure, Mousetrap.
Yeah, the Exidy games, man, they rule.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I would play those over the actual, real game.
Mousetrap? Did you have Mousetrap?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play Smurf?
Of course, yes. I had the Cabbage Patch game.
You know what's hilarious is Smurf.
Oh my gosh.
Hear me out. Smurf is probably the worst game for the ColecoVision.
You don't like the music?
No, but it is also
awesome.
Yes, but it's the funniest game. Like, if you get hit by a blade of grass, you die. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you didn't jump over it, right? Or a stalactite.
You just, oh my gosh, it's so awful.
So classic.
So awful. I love it.
And here's another thing about ColecoVision.
Yeah.
I used to call their customer service like every week and ask them what games were coming out. And it got to the point, I guess they had like two ladies working in customer service. It got to the point where they recognized my voice and they would start calling me by name. And they would send me, once a month, they'd send me a little printout of what games are supposedly coming out at some point.
Do you have one of these?
There you go.
You still got those?
Look at that. Awesome.
So that's the Atari Max. Ultimate SD cartridge for the ColecoVision. If you don't have one, they're fantastic.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
You put an
I had an Adam
SD card in there.
Computer as well.
Oh yeah, Adam. Yeah, and
I never got one. I always was worried about the cassette tapes kind of freaking out.
The cool thing about the Adam IMO, it was the first system that played all 4 levels of Donkey Kong. It had the Pie Factory.
Yeah. That was a big deal. I mean, that was like That was their main lure, I think, in the whenever they had that in the Electronic Games magazine.
It's like the Atari 5200, though. It's a giant monolith that nobody wants to own.
Oh, it's too bad.
It's terrible.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Were you ever on any other game-related shows like TV Kid Pow?
No, but I watched that. Well, I think that was like a little break in between cartoons, wasn't
it? I actually
I
was on an episode of a TV Kid Pow here in Houston.
Really?
Oh my God. So stressful. I actually have it recorded. It's on one of my VHS
I think I saw
tapes.
this. I think you showed.
Yeah, you basically say "pow" to fire whatever the weapon is.
Yeah.
And, if you do good enough, you win a bunch of toys and junk and stuff. And so.
Yeah, good. Well, they were good Mattel toys because.
Yes.
Sponsored by Mattel, so they were good quality toys.
Correct. All right. Well,
I love.
So
Mattel.
that was your only foray into a game show.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Got it.
But it had to been like, I was on TV. Like you know, your friends saw you. Did they give you a copy of the show on VHS?
The best time of my life at that time. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you get a girlfriend because you were on this show?
No.
Did you get a copy of the show on VHS?
Yeah, on VHS, yes. No. Which you had to buy. They didn't give it to you. You had to pay like $25 for it. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Do you still have that?
I have it somewhere. And of course, Damon has I think he made digital copies, so they're archived for forever.
Oh, that's great.
This is my failure at Donkey Kong.
I would love to see, like, because they probably include like the episode number and like some of the stuff you didn't see in the broadcast. But that's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Brian, you had a question.
Awesome.
You have a question, Brian?
Very good time.
So what, so you had this like really extensive collection. You said at one point about 100 games. What were your favorite games in that collection?
Well, let's see. The first, let's just do a history here. So the first coin operated game I ever bought was a Surf Champ pinball machine, which I think I bought around 1980. So I was about 12. And so I remember I bought it from the gold mine. It was $249 plus tax. And what had happened is I saved up the money, half of it, and my parents paid the other half. So at age 12, I had my own pinball machine at home, which is pretty darn cool. And then my first video game I bought was Reactor, which I still have. It's in my living room at the moment. So my favorite game, arcade games, would have to be Reactor. This is my top 5 list. Reactor, not in any specific order. Reactor, Bubbles, Mappy, Star Wars, and that's number 5. I'd probably say like Tempest.
Was there ever a game that you like? I mean, you've had access to an incredible amount of parts and games. Was there ever a game that you wanted but never found? Like, was there a Grail game that a lot of guys on KLV call it that you had that you've never acquired?
You know what? No, because being in California, especially because where I lived or where I grew up was Santa Maria, which is San Francisco would be up here, LA would be down here, and I was right in the middle. So to get to either major city, in Silicon Valley was 3 hours, LA was 3 hours. So acquiring stuff was not a big deal. And pretty much when I had my personal game room, I found myself emulating the arcade that I grew up with, or I should say the mom and pop arcade. It wasn't the gold mine. It was a arcade called Fun and Games. And so I emulated pretty much all the games that they had. And and that guy always bought all the obscure stuff. Like that's where I played Azterac and Cube's Quest and just the weird games, which I had over the years, except for Azterac. If you want to hear my story about Azterac, I won probably late 80s. And it's like, who would want this piece of shit? So I scrapped it out. I literally destroyed an Azterac. and I think I sold the boards. Actually, well, I had a lot of about 100 boards, and so I just sold the big lot of boards to. Remember a guy named Gaiman Lee? I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was really big in the late 90s. He was based in Los Angeles, and he's a wheeler and dealer. He was like a flipper back in the day. So he bought all these boards for me for like, it was like $5 a board. So $500. It's like, shit, I'll take it for all this crap.
Wow.
Well, little did I know.
Oops.
Yeah. So the joys of being, and back then I also operated, and Azterax didn't make money. So why would I want that? Same thing with the Three Stooges. I bought a Three Stooges brand new, and I converted it to a Rastan because Rastan made more money than the Three Stooges.
It is kind of funny. One of the things you notice in the collecting community now is you got a lot of these games that were not very popular are becoming super valuable because they all were converted or destroyed. So You've got, games that people just never really liked and everybody's going crazy over them because you can't find them anymore.
If you guys would cringe if I told you all the games I've scrapped out over the years.
I've heard
back when I operated or converted, just because back then it was about making money. It wasn't about rarity.
That's one of the things that's kind of funny. When you see these warehouse buys or you see these warehouses of games that are converted, and people on Facebook will comment like, well, why would you do that to a Joust? And why would you do that to this? Because it stopped making money. Exactly. The cabinets were just to make money to the people that owned them at the time. And you did whatever you could to squeeze every last dime you could out of them.
Yeah.
And that made sense. It was an investment.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, one of my stupider moves was back in the mid 80s is I had a iRobot, which I traded to a local another op for a cocktail jump bug.
Oh,
because I just got a new location, which was a little Mexican restaurant. So I wanted a cocktail game to put in there. And back then after, in the mid 80s, iRobots made absolutely nothing.
Sure.
So I figured, well, it's a cocktail game. They can sit down and play it. So I'll trade it. Well, that was
Jump Bug's fun though.
Yeah.
On the bit kit. I have a question actually. So, of all of your locations, did you have like a favorite location, or maybe a location that made the most money?
Yeah. Look, okay. When I bought my Three Stooges, I was maybe 15, so I didn't drive.
Wow.
So the local arcade owner who owned Fun and Games, he drove me down to L.A. to pick it up from Betson, which Betson, now is like the biggest game distributor in America. Back in those days, in the 80s, they had, in most major cities, there was a Betson. So on the way home, he says, hey, because I just bought, I'm a big Three Stooges fan, so I just bought the game just to have it.
Wow.
Because it was on closeout. I think I paid like $745 for it. It was right before Milestar shut down, so they were just getting rid of all their games.
Oh wow.
So on the way home, his name's Phil. He says, hey, when you get done or bored playing this game at your house, why don't you put it in my arcade and I'll give you half the money? And I'm like, okay, cool. So a couple of months later, off it goes. Well, I had bought a couple more games, and I said, hey, I have this game, which was a Inferno. And I put that in his arcade, blah, blah, blah. And about this time, there was this new game that was coming out, was Ghost and Goblins.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's a good game.
back in the 80s, I was on the
that game you get naked in.
I was really into going to contests, video game contests.
Right.
So I don't know if any of you old timers know, but there's a guy named Phil Britt that was really good at gaming, who was based in California as well. So I called him up. I said, hey, there's this new game coming out called Ghosts and Goblins. He goes, what do you think about it? He goes, that's a good game. He goes, but there's another game that just came out called Gauntlet that you should look at.
Ah.
Okay, so yeah, so I bought a Gauntlet brand new in the box.
Nice.
It was $28.95. I had $900. I had to borrow $2,000 from my mom. But
wow.
Anyhow, and I had to have a buddy of mine drive me up to Sacramento to pick it up. Anyhow, so when the arcade owner found out I had a Gauntlet, he goes, I'm coming over tomorrow to pick up this game and put it in my arcade. And I'm like, well, I want to play it first. He goes, well, okay, I'll give you a couple of days. Because I just bought this game pretty much to play at my house and maybe put it at one of my street locations.
It's a big game to have.
Yeah, but let me tell you, he put that in his arcade, and oh my God, this thing made so much money.
Brilliant game.
That's interesting because one of the chatters, Aaron Sanders, asked, what was your best earner of all time? I assume it was Gauntlet.
Gauntlet. Yeah. It was insane. I was in high school. I was making, literally, from this one game, and not to brag, but I was probably making $400 a week, my half, in high school in 1985.
Wow.
It was my mom was a legal secretary. I was making more money a year in high school by operating games, and I didn't even have a license. I had to pay students that had licenses like $20 to help me take games from location to location.
Wow. Did you ever get that game back, or did you end up leaving it with him?
No, I can. When then Gauntlet 2 came out, so I bought the kit for Gauntlet 2, which I think was $7.95.
Wow.
And then that just took off again, and it was insane. That game for $3,000 plus $800, so let's say $4,000 with taxes. Oh my God!
Wow,
it was insane. I mean, literally, it was crazy what that game made.
Wasn't Gauntlet the first game to have continue? Or
no, but
Moon Patrol. Ooh.
Now Tron also had a continue. There's several, but the Gauntlet, you could buy credits to keep going. It's an excellent way.
The other brilliant thing about Gauntlet was not only could you buy credits to keep going, but you were constantly losing life. Like no matter what you did, your life was decreasing.
Sure. But the cool thing about Gauntlet is it wasn't just you. You had 4 players.
Yeah.
So it was you and 3 people.
It was a 4-player game.
Yeah.
Which I think was, it wasn't the first, but just the theme of it was awesome. And I would go into that that was my hangout.
It was the first 4-player game where you had a common goal.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you had racing games and whatever else, but
Gauntlet was one of my first. That was one of the must buys when I started collecting arcade games. That was one of the games from the little arcade I remembered.
Aaron Sanders says worst game of all time.
Worst game? Well, I bought a Time Killers kit.
Yeah.
And but when Bally got bought out by Williams, they were closing out their game, so I bought a game called Blasted. I don't know if you guys heard of that one.
No.
But they were blowing those out for like $8.95 or $9.95. So I bought one of those. Terrible game. So I converted it to a Time Killers, which was even a worse game. Oh my God. I paid that kit cost me like $800. I had it on location in 2 weeks. It made nothing. I yanked it out and I sold it back to the distributor. I took like a $400 loss on it.
Was that a gun game, Blasted?
Well, it was a joystick and a button.
Oh, so
if you see the flyer shows like a pistol grip type with a trigger on it, but the production was just a regular joystick. And
that had a dedicated cabinet.
It did, yeah. It was one of the last games Bally made before they...
Sure, 1988 was when that came out.
Yeah.
Interesting. You can find it on the Arcade Museum Cloud site. So,
of course.
So yeah, I would say Time Killers, as far as a kit game, was my worst. Dedicated game. I bought a Mortal Kombat 2 when they came out, and that did okay for like 2 months, and then it just tanked. And that game cost me $42.95, and that was a lot of money back in that.
So you were actually an operator before you were even on Starcade, weren't you?
No, operating came in. I started
But you owned your first game before Starcade.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And you just thought, okay, well, I own games. I should probably do something with these.
Well, when I turned 16, I got a job at a local liquor store.
Sure.
And my boss knew I had games. He goes, "Well, why don't you put a couple of games in the store?" I'm like, "Well, okay." So that got me. That got me what we call a street operator. So street locations are like, bars, pizza places, liquor stores, versus arcade locations. So that got me becoming an operator, a part-time operator. I was in high school, so I couldn't quit, drop out of school to collect quarters. But yeah,
any good liquor store stories?
Oh yeah, actually. So high school, I went to a Catholic high school, so it was small classes. And I remember I was in the cooler stocking, and in the coolers, you can see through the glass doors, and I see this kid from high school. I was, he was probably a senior. Comes in, grabs a 6-pack of beer, goes up, buys it from my boss, my boss was a hard ass. And normally I would go up and say, "Hey, this guy, don't sell to this guy." But I was so impressed that he got past my boss that I didn't say anything. And when I saw him at school, the next day or over the weekend, I said, "Dude," I go, I didn't say anything because I was so impressed that my boss didn't card you.
Nice.
But but then also there was this old drunk lady that would come in all the time. And one time she pissed on the floor.
Oh no.
And she never played. She never played a video game, I bet, either.
And since I was low man on the totem pole, guess who had to clean all that?
This is terrible. That's terrible. Oh.
But also, when I was working at that liquor store, I bought my first pinball, which was Funhouse. I bought that brand new.
Oh, cool.
And I put it in that liquor store. And I remember, to get the word out, back then we had this thing called Easy Ad, which was like a weekly, like little black and white,
sure,
like a pamphlet.
Yeah. You would call up, place your ad. It was like $5. And I remember I put an ad in there saying, "Play Funhouse, the latest and greatest pinball machine ever made." At L&K Liquor. It didn't do any. It didn't help. But
you call a phone number. I remember doing that. We place ad, but call a phone number and give them the text of your ad. It's so messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
We're old. Okay, I got a couple of roundup questions here. Why Milestar? Why did you choose that as your handle?
Well, because Milestar is Gottlieb Milestar was my favorite game company back in the day.
Okay, so tell us the Gottlieb Milestar connection.
Well, Gottlieb, of course, made Qbert was the most favorite.
And a bunch of pinball machines. A ton of pinball machines.
Okay, pinball machines, yeah. And then Reactor was the first game I bought, which was made by Gottlieb. Mm-hmm. It was just a no-brainer, at least to me, that Gottlieb was my favorite company.
Sure.
So then about, I think, 1984, Gottlieb got bought by Columbia Pictures, which then changed their name to Milestar. It's not Milstar, it's Milestar.
Sure.
And I remember reading in one of the trade magazines, the reason they called it Milestar is because the firm they hired to find a new name for them, they said, when you look down the production line, it looks like you're looking at a mile of stars. Meaning, like a hit game. So Milestar is how they came up with that.
Interesting. Right. So I bet I don't know if all the listeners know that, but so Gottlieb eventually dissolved and became Milestar.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And then that's when, since Columbia Pictures owned them, Columbia Pictures also owned the Three Stooges license. That's how Three Stooges, the video game, got made. Is because, and also Kroll, which is a Columbia Pictures movie. Yeah. So. Brian has, of course, I had all those games back in the day.
You have a Kroll, Brian?
I do.
Good game.
That game is hard as hell. Mm-hmm. But the graphics. So it's one of the interesting things I feel about that game is it reminds me a lot of kind of the Williams combinations of uses of colors on the CRT, where Williams always did a really nice job of getting the screens or the colors of the animation to pop. And Kroll, like just watching that machine in attract mode, it really, like the colors and everything jump off the screen. It's amazing what they did with the artwork in that game.
Agreed.
All right.
Good game.
Question, do you still have your Starcade t-shirt?
No.
That thing was red with shiny silver text on it.
With sparkly text, yeah.
That's awesome. I think I'm gonna have some made. I'll send you one.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Make it extra sparkly with rainbow colors.
I will.
Bedazzled.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to find shirts like that with like the old iron-on sparklies in them. Remember the way Star Wars iron-on had like the gold sparklies around it. I love that shirt so much. So, Chatters, will you be back at CAX, our Houston Arcade Expo?
Yes, I will be in Texas next month.
Okay.
At the Rocky, or not the Rocky Mountain, the Texas Pinball Festival and Game Room Show.
Oh.
I'll be there. I'll be in Denver in March or Labor Day weekend. I will be at ZapCon, and I will be at California Extreme.
So what drives to all these? Is this your business? You have a booth usually?
Yeah, I have a booth where I sell. I try to find arcade-related collectibles and toys, and if I can find a wholesale source, I buy that and then I sell it at the.
I didn't talk about this during what I've been doing in the hobby because it's not really related. But this last week, I bought an original 1977 X-wing, white in color, beautiful condition. Stickers are solid, everything's there. I'm so pleased. As a Star Wars fan, do you have like a favorite collectible?
Yeah, that's another interesting story I could tell you about Star Wars stuff. So I've collected Star Wars stuff pretty much since like the late 90s, like 79 maybe.
Sure.
And I never ever, like figures, I would buy two, one to play with and one to save.
Wow.
So I have all these original
Kenner 1978.
Yeah, the good stuff still in I've been slowly selling them off, but
sure.
And then in high school, it was a big no-no to let people know you collected Star Wars toys. Oh my God! So it was a big. I didn't tell anybody, but I have all kinds of
closet Star Wars.
Sets. Yeah, the play sets back in California. The figures are here with me in Santa Fe.
Sweet.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm a fellow collector of odds and ends. Obviously, I have just tons of stuff, but
I got all kinds of stuff.
I got my original. I have original Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. I'm a fan of the ships, so I've got my original Millennium Falcon, and
awesome.
Now my white X-wing, which I'm very happy to have in the collection. So definitely we got to have you back on the show again. I think we have a lot more to talk about, but I think this has been good so far. You guys have any last minute questions you want to drop in here?
No.
Actually, I did want to ask you one thing. You mentioned the only game that you have left is Reactor. How often do you get to play?
I don't. That's why I'm selling off most of my games because I don't play anymore.
Yeah.
Talk to Brian.
Talk to Brian. In probably 2 years.
Brian's collecting all the games, so talk to Brian.
I still have games back in California that I haven't brought here to Santa Fe. So
we have a quick question from
10 games left.
We do have.
Do you have any bouncer parts?
Actually, I have the whole game in the box.
What?
in my storage.
Just sell that to Aaron Sanders. So Aaron, reach out to Arcade Fixit. By the way, I think Steven, didn't you say you got a deal for our listeners tonight?
Oh yes, just for your listeners, I have a 20% off code.
Wow!
Which anybody that knows me, 20% off is pretty good.
That sounds awesome.
So on checkout, if you enter the promo code in lowercase arcade for the arcade show, or arcade radio show, excuse me.
Yeah.
Arcade Radio.
All one word, all lowercase.
All one word. Yeah.
Minus the A or plus the A.
Or, just in case people forget, you can actually type in the word Arcade Radio, all
awesome.
one word in lowercase, and you'll get 20% off your order.
I'm gonna have to see if there's something I need in there for sure.
Me too.
Not good. This is not
so much
good.
Money.
And if there's something that you need but you don't see it, send me the part number because I have tens of thousands of parts not on the site, but it's all by part number, so it's very important that I have the part number.
Well, it's once again, it's arcadefixit.com, correct?
Yes.
All right, and this is Stephen Beal. Our first Starcade contestant to be on the show. for 7th episode ever taped of that show. Episode 14, if you're looking for it. It is a fantastic show to watch. I said it. I know I said it. I said fantastic. You got to love it. And and we are looking forward to seeing you again on the show. And I think I think we're going to reach out to your buddy Damon, and because Damon and I have been talking, and I think he'd be fun to have on. And maybe we'll do a little reunion show. See if we can get Mark Richards on.
Yeah, maybe he'll come on.
We have a lot of stories, especially from Blast from the Past. So,
that'd be so great. And I'm sorry we didn't get to Blast Past for the night, but seriously, we'd love to have you on the show again.
Anytime.
Yeah, and guys, this is where we kind of wrap it up on. Steven, stay on with us after the show. We would like to wrap it up with you off the air. And guys, this is where we kind of sign off. What do you think?
I think we're done.
All right.
Too late now. The music started.
Well, I'd like to thank you for listening in and listening again. That's a double R's, Arcade Radio.
That's facebook.com Arcade Radio or arcaderadio.com. That's RcadeRadio.com.
Or you can call and leave comments and questions in the game line, which nobody ever leaves, and that's 612-548-GAME-4263.
Yes. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/arcaderadio, or Twitter. Arcade Radio, again, starts with an R.
I love it.
Subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's just one click.
Is it? I've never clicked.
Click it. Click it.
I know you
You
clicked.
can, and then we said iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud, right?
That's it, and thanks. That's going to be our show from the Arcade Radio team. We hope you had a great time, and we'll see you in the next one. This is Mark Richards. I'm not wearing pants.
Did you say you're not wearing pants?
I'm going to plead the fifth for that one.
Plead the fifth?
I'm not even sure I'm still alive, dude.
I think he is. Jeff, not so much. But, who's counting?
The Count from Sesame Street, I'm pretty sure.
Whoa! All right, chatters, thanks for listening to us. This is Arcade Radio, and this is where we sign off.
Hello?
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 Hey, I can hear you.
What?